Today I wanted to do a really quick video for my realtor partners as well as for people who are shopping in the COVID market. It's really important that you understand that lending guidelines are changing, I would say daily. Every single day we're seeing something new. At my company, we're having calls probably 3 to 4 times a week about new guideline changes. Now, if you're not familiar with my videos, I work at Guaranteed Rate Mortgage. Whenever I'm looking at rates and investors, I have a lot to choose from. It's not like I just have guaranteed rate rules. I also have a bunch of big banks, a bunch of little credit unions. I've got this huge platter of selections per se. And what I'm seeing every day is I'm seeing things taken off the platter as the investors leave the market. And then I'm also seeing huge changes to stuff that I would normally serve, right? Okay, so let's talk about the big changes, because the worst, not the worst thing, I can't even say that. Something that would be lame if it happened would be if you got into contract and then your lender said, oh gosh, you don't qualify now. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. With the amount of guideline changes happening daily, it's going to happen. So what you want to do is, first of all, if you're a realtor, you want to check in with the lender and you want to say, hey, I'm still showing, Bob and Becky houses. This is what they're looking at. Do you mind updating their pre-approval? Okay, that's a great trigger for the lender to then go in and see, okay, do Bob and Becky still qualify? And to talk to Bob and Becky about, hey guys, I need to check in. Are you still working? That is one piece that people are very confused about right now, and I don't blame them. It's confusing. Here's the deal. So if you are currently not receiving a paycheck, if you're furloughed, if you're not at work, if you were let go temporarily, all those things, we can't use your income. An application is a reflection of your financial situation at the time the application and the loan is closed. So if, for example, you make $2,000 a month, generally, but you're furloughed right now, I can't use $2,000 a month because you're not receiving that money. Therefore, the application would not be valid if I counted that income. So what some people are trying to do is they're like, well, the lender's not going to catch that I'm not working and then I'll be back at work. It's not like I'm going to skip my payments. It's no big deal. We catch everything. Like, I have to tell you, we used to just verify, and this is like every lender, okay? We used to verify employment just at the beginning and the end of the transaction. We are now verifying employment throughout the transaction. So day of funding, verifying again. It used to be that we'd get your most recent pay stubs, and then let's say it was 30 days later, we wouldn't get more pay stubs. We are now getting pay stubs at closing. Up until closing, we will be collecting pay stubs. If you're self-employed, we have to verify that the business is open. We also have to verify the business is still getting transactions. Now, you're like, oh, the lenders are against me. We're not. We're totally not against you. We just have to make sure the income matches the application. And because of how volatile everything, I'm seeing people lose jobs that I thought were in fields where you couldn't lose a job. It's shocking. I'll have someone fill out an application Monday night. I'll call them Tuesday morning. They'll have been laid off in the meantime. It's scary. It's really scary. And hopefully this is all over soon so we can go back to the norm. But if you're working with a lender and they're like, and they know that let's say you need your spouse's income to qualify, and they know they're not working, they're like, oh, we'll squeeze it through. No, just no. No, they're not. They might, but then, you're committing mortgage fraud because you're saying you're still working when you're not, and if they don't squeeze it through, how much money did you just lose? Now, for realtors, I want to tell you guys, it's really important that if you find out that one of the borrowers that you're actively showing homes to, okay, that's the key. Actively showing homes. If you find out they're not working or they've been unemployed or something, please tell your lender, or encourage the client to reach out to the lender. Because the last thing I ever want to do is get someone into contract, get excited, or the appraisal, do all the inspections, and then they've just wasted $2,000 in a time that's already tough because they've lost their job. So be honest with your lender. We are going to find out. Save, and if it happens during the transaction and you're like, well, maybe I still call us. Just call us and tell us. Honesty is so important during this time. And I say that across the board because, you know, there's some other stuff I'm seeing that I'm just like, this is so wrong. Like people who are saying that they've been affected by COVID in terms of employment in order to try to get breaks on things, and they haven't. Like, it's gross. Okay, so employment, that's a big one. Another thing that has changed is the guidelines. You know, as I was talking about that platter and how I serve things is different. So in government, we've seen a lot of lenders back out of the market. And the reason is sometimes those loans are considered more risk, even though they're government insured. Right. Okay. So there's some lenders that are doing it where if your credit score is under 680, they just won't touch your loan. They're like, we're sorry, it doesn't exist for credit scores under 680. Is that true? No. FHA, VA, you can still go below 680. Now, we go to 620. We used to go to 580. We don't do that anymore. We go to 620. And there are additional overlays now. So what's an overlay? You're like, oh, the jargon she's giving me. I hate her. Okay, so an overlay is this. Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie. Those are the three big entities in conventional world. They all have their basic guidelines. Well, the lenders who sell loans direct to Fannie, Freddie, and Ginnie, they have the right to put overlays, additional guidelines on top based on how much risk they're comfortable with. That's why if you talk to one lender, you may get a different answer than if you talk to another lender. The key thing right now is that if you were pre-approved for an FHA loan last month, and your credit's under 680, you may not qualify with that lender anymore. Yeah, so you're gonna wanna check. So anything that's changed in regards to your credit, anything, you need to talk to the lender. But honestly, if you are shopping right now, check in with your lender and say, hey, do I still approve under, you know, current guidelines? And then here's the thing too, they're still changing. So I'm trying to be conservative in my qualifying because I don't want to end up with a bunch of people in contract, you know, where suddenly I can't do anything. And I've said this in other videos, you really want your lender to qualify conservatively right now. So to recap again, credit and jobs, okay? Now, the other thing is in terms of jumbo lending has gotten incredibly restrictive. So we used to have a ton of like 10% down programs to $1 million, 5% to $850, gone. Bank statement loans, that's where a lender can qualify you with your bank statements instead of your tax returns. I don't see any of those anymore. Really low credit score, gone. The whole market that was like this, it was like this giant platter, right? It's here. This is the market now. So in terms of loans a lender can offer, so you really want to make sure you're on top of that. So if you're a realtor, check in with the lender who's qualified your borrowers, make sure they still qualify. If you hear someone's losing their job, talk to the lender. And if you're a borrower, you're going to want to be, you know, really in touch with your lender right now. I know I'm going to get like 50 calls after this to do pre-approval, so I won't be talking to anyone for 2 weeks because I'll be very busy updating everyone. But you want to be aware. So thank you for watching. I hope this has been helpful. Guidelines are changing every day. Thanks.